about Amy Gaylor playing her first game of the year today in the number 23 for Essendon.
So they've got 6 AFLW listed players out there today for Essendon. And keep an eye on them, Bombers fans, as we're underway in the middle. They won the toss and they're going to the left of screen. Mia Bush, one of the ins today, kicked the Bombers into attack. Former VFLW listed Bomber Stepnell gets to work in the back line, and then we're all tied up in amongst it. Was Nicole Julian, I should say, Jim.
Last week I had the privilege of calling the Bombers out here, and they had a strong first quarter but couldn't capitalise on the scoreboard, and then Port Melbourne ran away with it. So what the Bombers need to do is actually really capitalise on the times where they do have the momentum, kick some goals so that they can put scoreboard pressure on their opponent, because we know Williamstown might be a standalone, but they're a very, very impressive standalone.
Yeah, 2 finalists from last season. The Bombers kicked the first 4 scores of that clash with the Borough last week. Unfortunately, all of them were behinds. I'd like to get off to a better start today. Ball's camped in there, attacking 50 for now. The Stepnell will see to that. Just bangs it towards the outer side, and a foot race pursues. Getting out after it is India Barker, who was very good in her first game for Williamstown last week. He's just going to lose out to the Essendon numbers here. Steph Wales, another one of the ins for the Bombers. That one's going to trickle out of play and out by Lassu, and the Seagulls will take over at half back.
So the reason I'm so excited about Amy Gaylor, she had a knee injury in her draft year, which meant we didn't get to see the best of her last year, but she was Essendon's sole pre-listed selection, pre-draft selection, which is an allocation provided to the 4 expansion AFLW sides. She's super talented, and this is her with the ball now. I'm so excited about what she can bring both at this level and AFLW level.
Oh, that kick was a nice one off the left boot of Gaylor, but it went straight through the hands of Orrit. They crash in over the top of it. Jada Richardson in there for the Bombers. Yeah, that injury limited Amy to just 6 games for the Calder Cannons in the Coates Talent League via Strathmore in the Essendon District Footy League. Oh, some heavy contact on Laurie Stepnell, who has been in the wars early on back there for the Seagulls. And she's going to take a kick and bring it out towards Eves. Gaylor flashes across in front of her and brings it to ground. And we're going to get a ball up right there. The other listed players out there today for the Bombers: Lily Rose Williamson, Chloe Adams, who you liked last week.
Big
Gemma.
fan of Chloe Adams. She was fantastic last week, in and under amongst it all. She wears the helmet, so you can keep an eye on her in the helmet. She had 20 touches and 9 clearances in that game.
Ash Van Loon, Mia Bush and the ruck Steph Wales also out there today for the red and black as the ball spills out of play here in the left forward pocket for the Bombers. They've made 4 changes from the team that lost to Port Melbourne last week. Tyler Crabtree and Chloe Perpich are both out with what we're told are long-term injuries. Sophie Molan is out as well, and Kyla Tracy also going back into the emergencies. Bombers here with Williamson. Her handball to Ruby Marnie, and now it's come to Mia Bush, who will have a long look, straighten up from 20 and miss. And the Bombers wait for their first goal of the season. It goes a little longer.
Yeah, it was very good build-up there from the Bombers. They've maintained this territory control early in the game, which again is what we saw last week. Their connection by hand with one another, trying to create that attack, is quite impressive. It's just about converting now.
Gaylor in amongst it early, wins it back for the Bombers. Bush and then to Wales, and back to Gaylor, drives it down towards full forward. Stepnell, a blue and gold wall back there for the Seagulls. Nice looking kick and an important mark taken by Barker, with Drew Ryan bearing down. Then Barker just runs straight past her. That's a nice kick to the outer side, and Williamstown will come forward for the first time today. Here's Molly Simpson, who helped herself to 4 goals last week. Moves it on to Tegan Brett. Bombers flooding back into their defensive half. Nice kick into the middle for Thornycroft, who's recovered from that lower leg injury that she suffered in that win against Darebin. Williamstown with some precise movement. Freeman into the 50, Whiting the intended target, and then got fallen in the back, and a free kick for the Gulls at half forward. You know, it's a warm day when Shani Whiting is not wearing the long sleeves.
Yeah, and I missed it yesterday in Port Melbourne.
Yeah.
None of them were in the long sleeves either, and I feel like these hot weather games are robbing us of some seriously good Guernsey action.
Whiting,
great kick,
honouring the lead of Brett. It's just dropped short of it. The Bombers are back there in numbers. Great handball on the up. Came from Adams and then to Malnikas. Good forward 50 pressure from the Seagulls. Coming up at the football hard was Barker, who's been busy early, but the Bombers, that handball game gets them out of trouble. Ryan to Williamson. Bit of a rushed kick down the line and a mark here for Zoe Day. I'm disappointed that I didn't get to see Lauren Caruso in the red and blue long jumper yesterday, Jem. I think I'm with you with Port Melbourne's long sleeve jumper, the best in footy.
The best. It has to be the long sleeve for it to be considered the best, but yes, I agree. And Izzy Hartog was another who was rocking the short sleeves, which we don't see very often from them. But I'm sure we've got some cold weather games coming up, so I shouldn't be complaining too much.
No, days like these won't come around too much. Stepnell again, across half-back for the Seagulls. Brings it to the open spaces of the broadcast wing. Here's Eliza Strafford. The electric Eliza Strafford, the captain this year, breaks a tackle. Tumbles a kick into the 50. Reaching for it there was Treadle O'Donnell. Went without it. The Bombers again quick to get back in numbers. Well, the umpire was blindsided to the high tackle. It doesn't matter. The Bombers come walking out of the 50. Murdoch. Again, another turnover going forward. Was that one of their issues last week, Jim?
At times, yes. This is more of their issue, though. The Bombers find it very hard to defend sides that get into that open space and are willing to take that switching option.
Williamson's kick finds Whiting on the bounce, turns herself clear, loves them on the run. Shani, not on this occasion. Pushing it across the face and through for a minor score.
That switch is something, I know we keep referencing the Borough, but we saw them play against Essendon last week, and then obviously yesterday we saw them do it again. That ability to switch and use the open side of the ground, use the run and carry, is something that they've made their brand. And Williamstown are also very, very good at that. And Essendon are finding it hard to defend that. They're not as good at quickly spreading the ground to force Williamstown to defend those one-on-ones. They're often able to find those outlets here and there.
Chaston with the kick in went to Sarah Ford and now to Orrit, who... Well, she looked like she had a bit of trepidation about her, but she's found two teammates on the outer side. Ryan links up with Robinson. Back to Ryan and back to Robinson. Didn't get a kind bounce, but she ran herself straight past Barker. Indulged in a bounce. The kick cleared the pack. Bombers don't have anyone goal side. And Eloise Freeman took a little while to collect it. In fact, she never really did. And then her handball coughed it up right into the path of Ash Malnikas, who kicks the Bombers' first goal of the season. 7.5 minutes into the opening quarter of their second match.
It's good stuff from Malnikas to convert, because it's been something that the team has obviously really struggled with. We've talked about it already. They kicked the 7 behinds last week, started off today with a behind. But to actually get them off the board off the mark with a goal is really important today. But I'm also quite impressed with the way the Bombers are trying to come out of defence. They kind of played a little bit safe at times last week, trying to go down the line to contests, getting bogged down a little bit in repeat stoppages. But now we're seeing them trying to do what other teams have done to them, which is use the open side, use the run. Even when Robinson wasn't able to take it cleanly, there was enough representation there that she could actually take the time to gather properly, move on and create that opportunity. So this is something that the Bombers can build on.
Free kick from the restart in the middle for holding. Going to Tia Davidge. Her kick clears the pack. Fell kindly there for the Essendon player who couldn't quite gather it cleanly at the first attempt. That was Marnie. Back to Malnikas. Kick around the body, bumbling ball up towards full back. It's taken by Williamstown's former captain Erin Mead. Her handball indiscriminate. Wales take it and dispossessed by Thornycroft. It's a scrap in the forward 50 for the Bombers. Handball comes out the way of Malnikas. Was she taken high? The umpire was right there to see it. And the Bombers' opening goal kicker, Ash Malnikas, will have a look from about 35 metres out, bang in front.
Something we do know Williamstown are very good at is organising their defence and staying aware. So any little leads that might pop out here, Williamstown are going to be on top of and prevent her from trying to hit them up.
Once a Williamstown player, Malnikas, she's only kicked 2 goals in her career in her first 60 games. That one's a little crooked off the boot, and then it's off hands and just snuck over the behind line, and another minor score for the Bombers. 1-2-8 they are. Williamstown 1 behind. Essendon, who of course last year were reigning premiers, did well, I thought, to get back to the preliminary final. They've done well to cause a turnover here from the kick-in, and there's an opportunity for Sarah Ford, who's given it every chance. It cleared the line. Stepnell got a finger on it, but it was a couple of inches too far over the line, and the Bombers have the first two, and a lovely snapshot there around the corner from Sarah Ford.
That's a really good stuff from Sarah Ford in her first game back at the Bombers after spending the last two AFLW seasons at the Swans. Was unfortunately delisted at the end of season 8, but has come back to the Bombers from which she was recruited and is already having a big impact. We know that she's a good leader and she's very vocal on the field, so she's really important in terms of organisation in the front half, which is, I think, something that Essendon lacked a little bit last week, so she's a fantastic addition.
Well, they are a team, the Bombers at VFLW level, that lost quite a bit of experience in the off-season. Mia Ray Clifford and Courtney Ugle, brilliant work in the middle from the Bombers, and steaming out of the goal square and taking a lovely chest mark is Steph Wales.
That is why I've been talking up Chloe Adams for 2 weeks straight. That spin out of trouble in the middle, perfect kick to a leading target inside 50. If I'm an Essendon fan, I am so excited about what she'll bring.
This is another one of their rising stars. Coming out of full forward, she's decided to head out into the pocket with this one. It bounces away from Jada Richardson and out of play in the right forward pocket for the Bombers, who are well on top here.
Brent, do you know what Steph Wales' nickname is?
No, I don't, Jen. What is it?
They call her Killer, as in Killer Whale.
Oh.
And I had the opportunity to interview her alongside Paige Scott and Amber Clark last year. And they said that her sister Lucy, who's at Hawthorn, doesn't get called Killer because they're not as creative with their nicknames.
Oh, that's fair enough. Free kick here going the way of Adams again for the Bombers. At the moment, Williamstown are having some issues trying to get out of their back half. Not helping themselves by giving away free kicks, I might add. Adams, she's going to back herself in here. We'll have to kick it from all of 45 metres. There's no real wind to speak of here this afternoon at the Hangar. Made good contact, and it's shepherded through on the line. Adams kicks the goal. And the Bombers have the first three. And I reckon there were a lot of people who come to the Hangar this morning / this afternoon and did not expect Essendon, who splashed them all over the place last week, to kick the first 3 goals in this one.
Weirdly enough, though, this is playing out very similarly to how their game started last week. They just happen to be converting the shots on goal that they weren't last week. So taking the advantage of the opportunities you're creating, and look how much damage it can do. But Chloe Adams, that's exactly what she's made of. Her biggest skill coming into AFLW level, and the biggest thing that had her in draft consideration was her kicking ability. And generally that was out of the middle or out of the back half, but she's just proven as well she can be dangerous when she sneaks forward as well, and she's got that long kick on her.
We go again in the middle. Straight back onto it is Adams. They are just killing them in the middle right now, the Bombers. Another centre clearance. Bridgewater dispossessed. Out comes Nicole Julian. Knocked aground by Gaylor, who might have considered herself a bit unlucky not to get a free kick in the back there. Do you think that might have been one of the key messages during the week from newly minted Essendon coach Sheree O'Neill? Just, we did a lot of things right. If you don't put it on the scoreboard, you're going to lose a lot of games.
Yeah, I think the word that it always comes back to is composure, finding that composure in the front half so that you're not under pressure when you maybe don't have the run of the play going your way for certain patches of the game.
Oh. Sorry, Jim, a wonderful pack mark taken by Steph Wales.
Yeah, Steph Wales has been great so far today. It's about taking your chances. I feel like a broken record, but that comes back to composure, being composed and calm in the front half when you are creating those shots on goal.
Stepnell dispossessed. Freeman a hurried kick away. Eves is over the top of it. Adams, the tackler, holding the ball, the call.
I was always going to be holding the ball.
And Chloe Adams is going to have another look here. And if there's one thing we learnt from the last kick, it's that she's well within range here. She's about 15 metres closer.
Yeah, and she's got the confidence to take the kick, which I love.
Plucked out of the Geelong Falcons.
She was part of Vic Country as well.
Originally out of the Tigers of Grovedale, looking to make it 4 goals out of the gate for the Bombers. Chloe Adams looks pretty good as well. Oh, that one was touched. The Bombers fans down below us think it's a goal. It's 1- score, and they will set up from the kick-in.
But again, they've trapped Williamstown in their back half. You mentioned the stoppages and Essendon getting on top in the stoppages. Someone that Williamstown lost in the off-season was Jasmine Kawa, who was a bit more of a ruck. And I was worried about not having her. She's gone up north to play in the Quaffle this year. She just has such a physical presence around stoppage, and that may be something that they're lacking a little bit against the Steph Wales today.
7-3 the clearances for the Bombers. You can make it 8-3 as Wales just took that one out of the ruck and got it on the boots. Here's Neve Crowley, the only change to the Williamstown side that flogged Darebin last week. Her kicks a turnover. Davidge, Jags, little left foot kick into the 50. Oh, rotten bounce for Stepnell. Here's Richardson over to Manfrey. Manfrey just hooked it. Oh, normally eats those up. Liv Manfrey, it's another behind.
Yeah, if I'm Williamstown now, I'm not trying to kick to a contest because we've seen Essendon has been able to at least equalise. This is a bit better, finding the space, using the space that you know that you can use run and carry, getting a little bit of overlap run happening.
Whiting the target from the kick in. One of the biggest kicks in the VFLW. Down the line she goes. Marked by Crowley. Crowley's kick asked a little bit of Edwards. Well done, Ruby Marnie. Got down lower than her Williamstown counterpart. The ball tucked in underneath. Umpire comes over and says, give it to me. Marnie, terrific on debut last week. A game high, 22 disposals, 9 clearances. Proficient player out of WA. He's been with Swan Districts the past couple of seasons as the Bombers win another free kick in midfield. And here she is. Ruby Marnie spots something she likes at half forward. Went through the hands of Russell. Meads handballs under pressure. Ryan to Orrit. Bangs one down towards full forward, and that's a terrific mark taken in front on the last line of defence by Nicole Julian. Out towards Stepnell. A couple of the former Bombers combining. Looking for the former Magpie in Tweddle O'Donnell. She couldn't take the mark. Van Loon to Bush, and now with Adams. And now the turnover. Just one too many handballs, I think, there from the Bombers. Kick coming towards the boundary. It'll pitch up and stay inside. Simpson, a clever handball to her own advantage. Doesn't have a lot of help here, so just got to toe poke it up towards the 50. Here comes Randall, trying to get it back up to Simpson, and then Simpson just blindly handballed it to Madison Ford, who kicks it out of the 50, and she's got teammates galore. Chasten's handball was okay. Marnie kept their wits about her. Well trapped there by Ryan. This is brilliant link-up play from the Bombers. Jordan, a handball over the top to Orrit, who has a teammate ahead of her, but just couldn't take possession of the football. That teammate won the footy in the end anyway. It was Lily Rose Williamson who got taken high. She's keen to play on. Long kick down towards full forward for the Bombers. Manfrey, a wonderful contested mark. Plays on, turns into the open goal and drills it. There was a whistle shortly before that kick came. I think it's actually coming back. It's going to be a Williamstown free kick. And Manfrey has missed one that she should have kicked, and now that goal's not going to count. It's coming back to Zoe Day.
Some really good stuff from Lily Rose Williamson at the top of the 50 there to keep the ball moving forward. She's one that the Bombers will be hoping comes a long way in this VFLW season ahead of AFLW. She missed every game last year with form and injury issues, so this is a chance to really stake her claim for a spot in that senior side.
Williamstown having better luck here coming from the back line. I think Brett just lost that in the sun, and in floats Amy Gaylor and takes a nice mark. Kick left a bit to be desired. Her teammate had to come back at it. Give it back to Gaylor. Bombers are trying to stick with that handball game. Turned over in midfield. It's a bit of a scrap. Tweddle O'Donnell's handball no good. And a free kick for holding the ball going the way of Essendon. What did you make of the Bombers at AFLW level gem finals for the first time and then lost to the Cats in the elimination final?
Surely that's a mark.
Oh, had plenty of it. Had about 4 bites. Umpire waved play on. I'm with you there, Jem. I don't think anybody else touched that. Orrit trying to keep it alive.
I haven't forgotten your question. We'll get back to that one.
That's okay. Another free kick coming back here. Right at half forward. That's going Williamstown's way. Yeah, what do you make of the Bombers, Jem?
Yeah, I think speaking to Bombers captain, this is
it is. It's going the Bombers' way.
Essendon free kick.
It's going to little Ava Jordan. Answer that question anyway, Jem. I don't mind.
I'm a massive fan of Ava Jordan, so I want to back her in here. But, speaking to Bonnie Toogood after that final, she really thinks that it was just that first quarter that really had them undone in that final against Geelong. They played some very, very good football throughout the season, but they also played some average football in games they should have won. And those, the West Coast game and things like that will still sticks in their craw a little bit, because arguably they could have had a claim on the top 4, which would have given them that second chance in finals. So coming into this year, it's something they'll be thinking about.
Well, VFLW level here in round 2. They're looking to 1-1 on the win-loss record. We go again for the second quarter. Wales is in the ruck against Crowley. Wales hooked it on down. Racing out of the middle was Mia Bush. Brings the Bombers down towards half forward, where it's brilliantly trapped by Murdoch. Bombers go up towards the paint of 50. Oh, Manfrey got a rotten bounce. Richardson continues to fight the fight for Essendon. Bridgewater is clamped. Zoe Day slow to pick herself up. The ball up at right half forward for the Dons.
Love what I'm seeing from Lily Rose Williamson. Won that footy and then was very vocal in supporting her teammates and directing her teammates after she'd passed the ball off. Some nice leadership there from a young player.
Thornycroft's blind kick is a turnover. Drew Ryan finds herself on the end of it. Bombers into attack. Off the hands of the Williamstown defender there in Freeman, who will get after the loose football. Handball to Whiting. Couldn't pick it up cleanly. She'll have Malnikas for company here. Tapped it over the boundary line, and of course it's last disposal in the women's footy, not touch, as some people I think get a bit confused with that sometimes. So it's a throw in rather than a turnover on possession. This
is where Steph Wales can get really dangerous in the ruck. Against an undersized ruck with a powerful midfield below her.
13 centimetres taller than Neve Crowley is Wales. Crowley can get after it at ground level. Ball popped out. Tackle might have lingered on Bush. We play on. And Lily Rose Williamson's going to be penalised here for a high one. Right at half back, it's Stella Bridgewater. Terrible kick. Boy, they've got to tighten up with those kicks coming out of the back 50 and the back half. Williamstown. Malnikas, one of the goal kickers in that first quarter, goes looking for Manfrey, who couldn't quite hold on. Richardson's turn to apply the pressure in the forward 50. Umpire has a good look and then calls for a stoppage.
This is exactly how we saw the first quarter play out. Essendon win at the stoppage, trap Williamstown in their defensive half, and then cut off all exits. We should mention the weather again. It's not just sunny, it's very hot as well. So we're going to see players manage their way through the game, probably some hands on knees towards the end of quarters.
No interchange cap, of course, in the VFLW, as that's a little bit unlucky for Willie. It just went out of the 50 and then out of bounds. India Barker, I should say, wasn't able to salvage it. So Mia Bush, beautiful kick into the 50, honoured the lead of Jada Richardson, who's going to back herself in here, turns her back on the goal about 40 metres out. Looking to add another one to the scoreboard for the Bombers to make it 4 in a row. Former Bendigo pioneer out of Echuca. Emily Eve stands the mark. This to stretch the margin to 27 points. Richardson didn't make great contact. Actually hits a good spot. As far as the Bombers are concerned, it was knocked away by Freeman. Ball spills out into the pocket. Here comes Williamson. Couldn't pick it up and bumped off it by Malnikas, who did really well to come back and win the football, but she'll be knocked off here for holding the ball. But I don't think Sheree O'Neill will be too disappointed, at least at the intent there for Malnikas when she was outnumbered.
No, not at all, and it's that sort of attitude that's allowed them to keep the ball in the front half. Things aren't always going to pan out exactly how you want them to, but the intent, as you said, with which they try is what they want to see.
Thornycroft with ball in hand at half back, right down the ground. It's broken up by Molly Simpson. Bombers trying to get out using that handball game again. Drew Ryan goes to ground. Ruby Murdoch, really good kick under pressure. It came out the way of Manfrey, who takes the mark. Well, not on the same page there as her teammate, who was expecting it to go out the back. Day's being caught hot. Umpire says play on. Williamson, not a great handball for Freeman, and then she got crunched by Richardson. Ball underneath the pack. Eventually it jars free. Bush's kick smothered. Not particularly tidy from either side. Eves had a go. Oh, how strong was Adams in that contest. Terrific. Robinson's kick right across the middle of the ground. Here's Karis Brett. Wonderful tackle by Tyrrell. Umpire has a good look. Saw the football come out momentarily. Some willing contests in the middle at Jim.
It's around here. It's winning the disposal here and then finding the next chain in the possession that Williamstown really needs to find to generate some genuine attack and take a bit of control away from the Bombers.
Tyrrell kicks as far as she can. Floating in from the side, Adams couldn't mark, and their teammates in there lending a hand will receive a free kick.
There's been a lot of talk about, at AFL level about the Essendon edge and how they want to play hard, physical footy. I know this is a very different level, but there is a physicality about Essendon that I think was lacking last week, and it's starting to show around the contest. You know, hitting that tackle a little bit harder to keep that player out of the contest. It's noticeable.
Yeah, it was something that they made a name for themselves at this level as well. They were the number one tackling team in the VFLW last season. Oh, queuing up in the middle here. Sarah Ford goes down on one knee to take the mark. Didn't make great contact with the kick. Here comes Wales to try and mend a broken play for the Bombers. She went without it. Ford's in there again. Umpire blows the whistle and gives a free kick to Sarah Ford for holding on.
It seems quarter on quarter that Chloe Adams and Mia Bush are kind of swapping roles. So one sits at half back as that security sweeper. The other sits in the middle. At the moment, Mia Bush is the one up around the contest and Chloe Adams is sitting at half back, and you've called her name a few times already in terms of that intercepting, breaking even in the air. Mia Bush was doing that in the previous quarter, so it'll be interesting to see how that continues to develop.
And having difficulty, Williamstown getting past it, so it'll be up to the leaders out there for the Gulls to notice that and try and find a different way forward. Meantime, free kick for the Bombers.
And you mentioned that Chloe Adams is not the tallest player out there. She's a pretty average-sized midfielder. So for her to be constantly beating them in the air, that would be worrying me for Williamstown because they do have tall options.
Beneficiary of this free kick is young Scarlett Orrit. Directly in front. The angle won't be the issue. The distance will be. It'll drop short. Ava Jordan in the contest. Malnikas front and centre. Gathers the loose ball. A Gangull tackle. Jarred the ball free. Ford kept it alive. Spills out into the pocket. Here comes Freeman. Oh, it was taken immediately in a ripping Bomber tackle, which Chloe Bain didn't really like. Scarlett Orrit, that might have been again, who come flying in. Bombers with the footy. Deep in attack. That's where it's been for most of the match, to be fair. We don't get too far from the restart.
They do need a change, though, here, Williamstown. Something needs to shift for them to not be constantly under siege in their back half. Is it putting a long kick like a Shani Whiting into deep defence purely to get her kicking out? But does that rob your forward line? And it creates so many questions for the Gulls.
Yeah, they'll be toying with that idea, I'd imagine. Of course, it'll take one of their better marking options forward, won't it, which is ideally what they're trying to do. Erin Mead fights the fight for Williamstown. Thornycroft heard the voice of Whiting, who's come down to lend a hand. Get the handball back from Brett. Oh, just lost it behind her. Russell couldn't take it either. Bain keeps it going forward. Through comes Gaylor. Tumbles one up towards full forward. Erin Mead mown down from behind. Well, she hasn't played much footy over the past couple of seasons, Erin Mead, due to injury. She's maybe just lost the touch a little bit. And Liv Manfrey came from the shadows and clobbered her, and Liv will have a look at goal.
It's work rate, isn't it? It's the willingness to, sprint rather than jog, to apply that defensive effort. Williamstown aren't quite there at the moment, but the Bombers definitely are.
For all the attacking that they've done in this quarter, the Bombers still haven't scored. You'd imagine they will score here, and they'll be hoping it's a major. Liv Manfrey had a couple of looks in the first quarter. Lays back on the kick, has just got it hooked into the right-hand side, and that will be her second behind of the match. Wasting no time from the kick in is Stepnell. Going to the outer side. It's well cut off, though, by the Bombers. This is Amy Gaylor, getting better and better with each passing moment. And she's going to be taken to the goal line. Some encroachment on the mark. Gaylor is going to kick her first goal in the red and black.
I think Eves thought she was 5 metres out, so could move on the mark, but wasn't. But it was just a really good contested mark from Gaylor.
She's going to get her reward here. Of 3 steps, nonchalant, pops it through. And the Bombers' priority selection from last year has her first goal in the red and black. And there'll be Bombers fans around Old Melbourne Town hoping that there's many more of those to come, and you'd imagine that there will be. The Bombers kick the first 4 of the afternoon. It gets a little worse for Williamstown.
I understand what Williamstown was trying to do in terms of move it quickly out of defence, try to get run, unsettle the Bombers so they can't get set up in defence because they have had that problem. Just wasn't the right option. Choosing a 2v1 essentially is what it was that they eventually lost. But I think really importantly, trying to find that run rather than the long kick to a marking target is really important for Williamstown now because the Bombers are all over them in the air.
The Bombers stretch the lead to 28 points. Midway stages of the second quarter, Williamstown have found themselves in a bit of a hole. Trying to get their game up and running. Eves gets on the end of the handball. It's a long kick into the 50. It turns Robin Randall around. Running back is Robinson, who runs it straight over the behind line, and the umpire says all clear.
It was interesting. I don't know that there was much pressure there. But
no.
Are we shelling peas at this point, deciding those free kicks or not?
Williamstown's second score of the match. Short from the kick in. Oh dear. Robinson kicked it into the player on the mark. And there she's caught and just got to get rid of it. Randall didn't take it at the first opportunity. She slaps her hands in frustration as the ball is out of play in the pocket. But here's a chance at least for Williamstown to get the football, have the football I should say, in their front half and try and work something maybe from a forward 50 stoppage.
It's the first time they've really been able to live in attack all game.
Well, if nothing else, it gives their defenders a bit of a rest. Umpire toils it back in. Bain got front position. Hurry kick out of there by the Gulls. Randall reaches for it. Can't mark. Oh, Bush handed it straight to Shani Whiting. And sharp shooting Shani bangs it right on the boots. And it sails high over the goal umpires. Happened through the big sticks. And Williamstown break that 4-goal run of the Bombers.
Importantly, that opportunity came from winning the ball in the middle, choosing to just go really direct with their attack. It wasn't the neatest forward 50 entry. It created another stoppage, but from there, they then attacked. That centre bounce or centre stoppage is becoming so important in this game because Essendon has been all over the Gulls in that area, but the one time they break down a little bit, the Gulls are able to score.
Yeah, that's what they did so well last week, Williamstown. Against Darebin, time and time again, it was Emily Eves sprinting out of the middle. She was the one that really got them going out of the middle on that occasion. It's up for grabs in the middle once again. Gray's handball. Missed Eves, but found Maddie Edwards. Tumbles a kick down towards half forward. It's a good mark taken there by Maddie Ford, who was not in prime position.
Maddie Ford turned 20 yesterday. Happy birthday to Maddie.
Runs around the player on the mark, and then it's not a great kick right down the throat of Chloe Bain, who can turn and drill it down towards half forward. It's a lovely kick. Molly Simpson's on the end of it. Williamstown having a good little patch here. 1-on-1 into the 50. Strafford outpointed her opponents. And the Williamstown captain just has to go back and make a certainty of this.
The two areas that Williamstown was lacking, particularly in that first quarter, was stoppage and aerial game. Those are the two things that have created these two repeat shots on goal.
First season as captain. She's been here a while now. This is her 6th season. Did kick 2 last week in that win over Darebin to make it 2 in a row for the Gulls. Misses to the near side, and Strafford will be disappointed with that. Scoreboard's ticking over a little bit now, though, for the Gulls. 1-3-9 they are. Down by an even 20 points. The Bombers out in front, 4-5-29. We go past 14 minutes played in the second quarter. Bombers from the kick-in decide to play the near side. Thornycroft brought it to ground. Here's Adams. Oh, shares it with Marnie. Had to get rid of it quickly to Davidge. Marnie taken high. Bombers take the advantage. They've got a couple of players on the wing. Karis Brett gets after it. Wrong foot, Zoe Day. That's well read by Stepnell, worked her way in front of Richardson and brought an end to what was a promising foray forward for the Dons.
I think the Dons had a fair claim on the fact that she played on there, but...
Yeah. Well, it might not matter. She's kicked it into Richardson on the mark. Richardson left it behind. Just did enough with the tackle to bring down Stepnell. The ball went back underneath. And we'll get a stoppage. Just on the young player there that we saw, Amy Karras-Brett. We haven't seen her too much today, but I was looking at her last week. She reminds me so much of Courtney Ugle, the little slight blondie with the oversized 41 jumper. Ugle, one of a few players that left the Bombers in the off-season. Williamstown into the 50. Whiting's gotten goal side. Bush has to give chase. Whiting should kick the goal on the run. She does. Here come the goals. Whiting celebrates with all the crowd in that forward pocket. She's kicked 2 in a row. And the wheel is turning at the Hangar.
It's just about the clean first gather, isn't it? Whiting at the other end of the ground, and they're trying to exit defence. Just couldn't take that clean gather off the deck and keep running with it. But in attack, she was able to do it there. And generally, when she's got that shot on goal, she's not going to miss, is she? But the goals have just found their rhythm now. They're able to defend higher up the ground. They're not trapped just trying to exit defence constantly. So being able to play their game higher up the field, they can get more dangerous in attack. And a lot of that really has come from stoppage, and it's come from taking marks in those one-on-ones, which generally the Bombers were winning out last quarter.
The goals managing to turn this one around. The Bombers looking to answer. Melnikas won a clearance. Barker about to be charged down by Gaylor. Did enough to affect the kick. Maddie Ford breaks the tackle. Now the Bombers captain in Chaston runs through half back. It was a beautiful kick into the middle. Karras-Brett plays on after taking the mark. The kick was eventually under pressure, but it got the Bombers to centre half forward. Well, we have a bit of a traffic jam. Manfrey keen to keep it in the area. And this is where Williamstown will be pretty keen to get it out of their defensive half as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so they're not setting up with any extras at stoppage because they're really conscious of that, those forwards.
Going hard and low in there. A couple of Williamstown players almost colliding with one another. Umpire calls for another stoppage. Bombers in attack. 29 plays, 15. Bombers kicked the first 4 of the match. Williamstown have kicked the last 2. And we need to do it again just as Sarah Ford had wrenched the footy clear. A lot of players around this football anticipating the ball drop. Bridgewater's the one in prime position. Clearing kick was good. Mark taken by Randall right in the middle of the Hangar. Williamson getting mightily close to the protected area. Oh, Strafford just come on off the bench and gathers cleanly on the bounce.
Oh.
Had her teammate over the top, and it was brilliant defending coming up at the football by Maddie Ford. And the Bombers somehow survive. Melnikas takes the mark. Comes out towards Richardson. Players coming off the bench left, right and centre here. Richardson takes a brave mark. Once again, she's looking inboard. Kicks a good one. Right alongside the centre circles. Oh, that's a wonderful mark taken in front by Wales. So good above her head.
She really is, and I think we need to give even more plaudits to Maddie Ford in defence there. She was 1 out against 2, was able to apply that smother, and now it's in the front half for the Bombers. So Maddie Ford, take a bow.
It was Sarah Ford who got it to Melnikas. That one might have come off her knee. So a job to do in the back 50 here for Williamstown. Orrit a good tackle. Day the handball. Stepnell again beaten by a bit of a rotten bounce. Richardson's had a good second quarter for the Bombers. That kick jarred off the side of the boot. And back underneath the pack she goes, and a ball up 50 from home. In the dying minutes of the second quarter, Williamstown working their way back into the match after a slow start. Chaston, handball looking for her teammates, who I think the umpire has said was held on to before the footy arrived.
It's Lily Rose Williamson, and again, she's involved in it. She's a player that can just get under your skin a little bit, that can create these sorts of opportunities as the game wears on.
Having a look at the hot spot here, I think, is Lily Rose. Let's put it right to the goal square. It's only going to come up a few metres short. A terrific mark, so strong one-on-one. Jada Richardson, that's about the 3rd time she's taken a mark like that just in this quarter alone. And this is a big kick, closing in on half-time.
This will give the Bombers back the momentum going into the break. That was a beautiful kick from Williamson. Could hear the awe from the crowd right next to her after she kicked it.
Jada Richardson right up against half-time. Second season on the Bombers VFLW list. Tight angle as you can see, but she's a left footer. And she's passed it beautifully. Marked on the behind line. And it's Scarlett Orrit.
Saying that it was a pass is being very generous.
Now this is tricky because she can't come around off the mark.
So she can start off the line and come to the line, but she can't make the angle better.
Yep. So she's going to have to think her way through this. She gave it a fair effort. It actually went right to the goal line and then cleverly kept in play by the Williamstown defenders. It's as close as you can come to kicking that goal without actually down. Doing battle. We're ready to go for the second half, but we do have a score amendment to update you with, Gemma.
So at the end of that last quarter, Essendon took a shot from the boundary. It was Scarlett Orrit who took the shot. It was called a behind. I was confused because I thought that it was tapped back into play, but it was called a behind. It actually hit the post as it came through. So Essendon got a behind right at the end of that quarter, which, given that this game looks like it'll be close, might actually come in really handy.
Stand by for some controversy. Williamstown kicked the last 2 goals of the game. They come out of the middle first of the third quarter, but there's a free kick for Amy Gaylor, who, Gemma, loved her first half.
Yeah, she's been brilliant. She's playing on the wing. Her work rate has really come to the fore, so working into defence where she won that free kick and now already pushing up into attack to become an option. She's forcing her direct opponent to work themselves really hard, and because of that, she's sneaking out into space quite often. Again, she's on her own here going into the forward 50.
Well, it's another terrific mark taken by Wales, but her kick let her down going forward. Taking off half-back was Bridgewater, and she gives it straight back. Melnikas will get another chance for the Bombers. Drives it into the corridor. Pinballs around and spills off into the middle. Chaston, a good tackle. Didn't see a lot of Al in that first half, the Bombers captain.
Ball didn't really get into the defence in the first quarter, really. Chaston plays off that half-back line and just kind of organises the line. But at times they'll be sent into the midfield when they're needing a bigger body or a bit more control. So we might see a little bit more of that from Al this half when Williamstown gets on top in the stoppages.
That kick was disposal number 3 for Chaston. They'll get it again here. This will be number 4. Turns onto the boot and kicks towards half forward. That was a terrific spoil coming in from Stepnell. Getting onto the loose footy was Bush. Essendon go down towards full forward. Seagulls have a couple of numbers here. Mead just bangs it on the boots, clears the back 50, one-on-one contest. Good work there from Gaylor. Try to get the handball going back to Richardson, to Jordan. Oh, now Lily Rose Williamson, who ran straight into Ash Thornycroft, and it's holding the ball. Just breaking down that handball game for the Bombers, which looked pretty slick at times in the first half, I must say.
It's because Williamstown have heightened the pressure a little bit. They're working a little bit harder to be involved repeatedly in stoppage, even that if that means defensive running, which is something we know some players may be guilty of not doing at times. So really important that the work rate is as high going forward as it is going back into defence.
The 2 captains collide here, Strafford and Chaston. If you weren't with us for the first half, the Bombers kicked the first 4 goals of the game. Williamstown kicked 2 unanswered in the second corner, both off the boot of Shani Whiting. Get the margin back to 15 points as we have a repeat stoppage here just below our commentary position.
Someone else that I've been really impressed with who came up with the ball there is Mia Bush. So she's one who is really fighting for a spot in the AFLW side. She's been on the list for 2 seasons. Her position hasn't really been solid because she's not quite a midfielder at AFLW level yet. So this is her chance to prove that she has what they need as a midfielder, and that she also has a second string. So that half-back line seems to be really working for her when she's not a first-choice mid. She's so clean with the footy. Some of the gathers that other players have had to take a 2 or 3 take on, you know, bounces off the ground, ground ball gets, she's always taken them really cleanly first gather. So I've been really, really impressed with Mia Bush, and I hope that this VFLW season is the making of her becoming a consistent AFLW presence.
Leading ball getter on the ground with 15 disposals. Bombers go to half forward. Manfrey dropped the chest mark. Manfrey, one of their main focal points up front, playing in the forward line this year without Mia Ray Clifford, who's been at the Bombers for a while but left in the off-season. Changing of the guard up front for the Dons as Whiting bangs it forward, but it's another easy intercept mark for Ford. It's Madison Ford. Spreads it towards Karis Brett. All on her lonesome. Handball back to Ford. Running out of options here. Had to go back to Karis Brett, who eventually picked it up off the turf. Got it to Bush. Bush high up and under. Oh, Strafford will be penalised there. Took her eyes off the football. Cannoned into the Essendon player. They take the advantage. Out into the pocket they go. Manfrey got rid of her opponents. Backed up to apply the tackle. Handball came away there from Stepnell. Bridgewater comes over to apply the pressure. And I reckon we're destined for a ball up as the umpire watches on. And he's watching Bridgewater, I think that was again, step out of trouble, but wrapped up by Malnikas. So much hangs on the clearance battle in this second half, Gemma. That's really where it started to turn in the second quarter when the Gulls started to get their hands on the footy at the coalface. Yeah,
absolutely. And the big thing, and again, I've said it a few times, but getting trapped in their back half, they don't seem to be able to create anything when they're stuck in that defensive half. But when they're able to defend higher up the ground, they actually look really dangerous with the run and carry and things like that. But now when they get trapped in this defensive 50, they look really stagnant and they look a bit panicked in terms of just defending like their life depends on it, with no real insight into how they can create attack from there.
Defending like their lives depend on it is exactly what they're doing here. Gathered by Williamstown of Essendon. Round the body. Day trying to keep it away from Manfrey, but was unsuccessful. Manfrey's handball to Williamson deep in the pocket. Hits a great spot with the kick. It's knocked away by Whiting. And then Whiting backed up with a great smother on the kick of Malnikas. Thornycroft had her kick charged down by Marnie. Jordan gets after the football while she was tumbling to the ground. She did be able to get a handball away. Davidge is in trouble. Got it to Bush. And the turnover that felt like coming does indeed come. Bridgewater just put her on the boot. Well done, Adams. Worked Simpson under the football and took a chop-out mark for the Bombers. And here the Seagulls go again, just struggling to clear their back half. Adams with the old 1-2. Kicks down towards full forward. It's through the hands of Nicole Julian. Whiting. Handball to Tyrrell, who has a bounce and breaks through half-back. It's a nice-looking kick. Randall underneath it, but coming over the top with the spoil was Ruby Murdoch. And Murdoch's going to be penalised for a free kick in the back. And just a little bit of indecision there from Barker. Probably could have kept going. I don't think she actually knew the free kick was going to her team. It's held them up momentarily.
Something I mentioned last quarter is, do you put Shani Whiting into defence to get that long kick out? We have seen that move made kind of permanently in this quarter. She's playing as a key defender, but she's trying really hard to get up the ground and be that option as well when she can. But she's a one-woman show at the moment.
Asking a lot of her. Here's Adams again getting involved in the middle of the ground. She's driven into the ground by Chloe Bain. And we'll need a ball up on the fringes of the centre circles. The Bombers 4-6-30. Williamstown 2-3-15. Seagulls looking to try and get to 2-0 for the first time ever. Well done by Williamstown from the stoppage. Marnie was clobbered. Got the handball out in front of Liv Manfrey. There's actually a free kick going the way of Williamstown here.
Just back on Shani Whiting, this is where I think the absence of Jasmine Kawa is really coming to the fore. Kawa often played as that second option. If Whiting had to go into defence, Kawa could be the one to go forward and be the physical presence. They're just lacking that big body, I think, to work off Whiting. You know, Port Melbourne have Frew and Harley that they can use. Williamstown is just lacking that extra.
Julian got to stay vigilant here with Jordan nipping around her ankles. Russell's in there as well. It's well done by Julian to fish the handball on the up to Thornycroft. Just not hitting their targets coming out of the back 50, the Seagulls. Mead helps it on further afield, down towards the boundary line and over. Strafford couldn't stop it from going out by Lasso. We know that Whiting a couple of years ago now was on Carlton's AFLW list, didn't get a game. Is she someone that you think could maybe get another look in at the top level?
No, and I'm not sure. There's a few players who probably have the skill, but whether they want to be at that level is really the question. Federica Frew is another. I think Alyssa Mifsud is another. At this level, they're really content to be one of the best, play fun footy and it not be their whole life. And the impression I get with Shani is that that's the case, which I respect the self-awareness.
Yeah, that's a good call, Jem. The Bombers have a 50-metre penalty here. Oh, Karis Brett over the head of Malnikas and onto the chest of one of our favourites, Ava Jordan, who will line up from 20 metres out right in front.
Ava Jordan got so close last week to kicking her first goal for the Bombers. Hopefully it's coming for her now. She's an exciting player and she works very, very hard. So hopefully she gets reward for effort here.
145 centimetres she stands. Played one VFLW game last year for the Blues. Skips on in. This to give the Bombers a bit more breathing room. Jordan has hooked it a little. And hooked it too much in the end, away to the left. The first score of the third quarter is a behind for the Bombers.
It's making me think of Nick Watson, who kicked 6 behinds before he kicked his first AFL goal as a small forward for Hawthorn this year. Ava Jordan's having to wait for her opportunity now as well.
Williamstown, the near side from the kick-in. Whiting dropped the mark. Thornycroft races after it and earns herself a free kick for too high. Come over from the Blues in the off-season, was their best and fairest winner last year. It's a very short kick. The umpire says it went the required distance and the mark paid to Neve Crowley. Here they go again, just trying to work their way through the Essendon defensive scheme. Very wide, can't be much wider than that. Shani Whiting marks right on the boundary line. Oh, if you're going to come out like this, you've got to hit your targets, and they've missed it. Malnikas. Here's Wales, handball to Jordan. She's got to capture it, and then she was captured herself by Randall. The ball jarred free. Thornycroft a hurried kick forward. Davids dropped the mark. Essendon player down behind play.
Yeah, Ava Jordan looking a bit worse for wear after diving for that footy. Probably unlucky not to get a high free kick there, but when you're 145 centimetres tall and you're diving, you are at risk a little bit, aren't you?
Ripped away by Marnie. Handball forward in
she's
hope.
Fine.
Yeah, looks like she's all good. Right back into the thick of it. What would someone of that stature, what would she need to do to get onto a list? Because I can imagine there would be some real trepidations about the size holding up at the elite level from the coach's point of view.
So for context, Courtney Hodder is the shortest player in the AFLW. She's 152 centimetres tall. And we know what Courtney Hodder's made of. She laid 18 tackles in the AFLW Grand Final last year, which is a record for the Grand Final. She leads the competition for tackles inside 50. So that super high pressure work rate game is such an important part of what she brings. Ava Jordan does apply pressure, but she's not that sort of player. So when you maybe don't have the size, you have to be very, very, very good at something else. And she's not the best at the other stuff. She's a very good player. She's a very smart player. But you look at Elila Keck, who was drafted as a small forward to Carlton this year. She's just got that little bit more X factor to go with the height. Ava Jordan probably needs to become the best pressure small forward in the competition, which is unfortunate because it's not her fault that she's not tall, because I think she's a very smart player. She does play above her size quite a bit, but when you go up to the level of AFLW, you can get found out a little bit, which is just unfortunate.
Seagulls going forward here by way of a free kick. Britt Gray tumbles it into the 50. Oh, she's standing her ground in the hole, and wearing one might have been Mia Bush, who will get up for disposal number 20.
I'm a fan of the bright blue boots, to be honest.
Well, they've seen plenty of leather today. She's short to Sarah Ford. And out wide to Murdoch. They put a move on a Williamstown defender, and the kick was nice. Karis Brett, who's come into the game in the third quarter. Courtney Ugle lookalike. Thumps it onto the boot, sends the Bombers to half forward. Orrick brought it to the front where Julian won it back for Williamstown. Handball to the bootlaces of Maddie Edwards. It's ripped clear by Malnikas, who did not want a stoppage. And she bangs the Bombers into the 50. Williamson is there. We'll get it on the bounce after Freeman overcommitted. Bouncing ball across the face of goal. Manfrey gives chase. It bounces into the behind post, and the Bombers will get a forward 50 stoppage deep in attack.
Williamstown just seems a little bit reactive around the contest once again. They're trailing their opposition. They're more interested in defending it rather than winning it. And it's allowing Essendon to just walk out at times.
Here they are trying to win it from the stoppage. Oh, that should be dropping the ball, and it is. Try as she might. Zoe Day, she just couldn't get a legal disposal away. And here is an opportunity for Scarlett Orrit, who of course had that kick for goal right on the three-quarter time, or half-time siren I should say. She will line up here directly in front. Looking for the first goal of the third quarter. Bombers out by 16 points. Williamstown have mounted their charge. Orrit ran out to the right just as she got boot to ball, and that's where it went. Williamstown haven't quite dealt with it. Malnikas the pressure, and good work on the last line from Stepnell, knowing the rush behind rule, pops it through. Another minor score for the Dons.
Orrit was just searching for the distance there. I mentioned self-awareness before. It's about knowing what your capabilities are. If you don't have a 40-metre kick in you, you're far more dangerous looking for an option, and that also comes with your teammates understanding that that's what you need. Yeah. You need a lead because you're not going to make that distance, rather than putting it to the goal line and be rushed through. So those are all things that you learn as well with more time in the game and more time with your teammates. We've seen a lot of change at the Bombers this VFLW season, right from the coach to the captain all the way down. So it's just a team chemistry thing as much as it is on Orrit there.
All out of play at half forward. I'd imagine that would be something that new coach Sheree O'Neill might pull Scarlett aside, and it's a lesson for everybody. Like you say, if you know that you're not within your distance, it's far more dangerous to try and hit up a lead, or at least put it to the hot spot. Don't kick it too deep so that it can't be killed easily by the defenders. And
trying to hit up a lead means you need leads to come to you. So constant movement in that forward 50 makes you really dangerous. Well, and I keep referencing Port Melbourne because I think they're the bar at the moment. Port Melbourne are constantly on the move inside 50. It forces defenders to be constantly aware of their direct opponent, doesn't allow defences to support each other. And that's the next phase, I think, for Essendon's attacking line.
Neve Crowley took a wonderful mark there and then just tried to keep the momentum going forward. Played on and was caught. Free kick for Adams, who puts it upstairs for Lily Rose Williamson to climb the ladder and bring down. Bombers on the build again. We've gone 17 minutes in the third quarter. Quarter in which we still haven't had a major. That one will clear the pack. Stepnell out the back, read it nicely. Oh, we'll try and affect the switch. It's gone high into the clouds. Karis Brett underneath it, couldn't mark. Barker's got to fight the fight here for Williamstown. She's done well to hold it up and wait for the cavalry. Karis Brett holding onto it, doesn't want to let it out. And I think that's a decent call from the umpire holding the ball. Karis Brett wanted the forward 50 stoppage. Williamstown move it along. Strafford takes the mark and takes off. A green light player, Eliza Strafford. The only way she knows is forward. Link it up here with Williamson. Strafford brings the goals down towards half forward. Gray couldn't get it. Slipping over was Davidge. Brett's onto the loose football. Teammate over the top. Brett has spotted her. Here comes a goal for the Gulls. Tweddle O'Donnell marks and runs into the open goal. And Williamstown have kicked 3 in a row. In the meantime, the Essendon player just down below us is slow to pick herself up. It's Ruby Murdoch. I think I said Tia Davidge a moment ago. Ruby Murdoch is back up and running after the trainer had a bit of a chat to her. But Williamstown trimmed the margin to 11. It's as close as they've been for a while.
She just had her legs come out from under her. It wasn't even a contact issue for Murdoch there. She just landed really hard, and I think it was a bit of a shock trying to get back up. But she was grabbing at her right quad, so it might be one to keep an eye on. But she seems to be moving okay. But that's a great transitional goal from Williamstown. That's the sort of goal we expect from them. The run and carry, getting out the back. Even if you don't take it cleanly first time, you've got enough support to be able to continue that run going, or at least win the contest or equal it. So that's the brand that we expect from Williamstown. They just haven't been able to show it too much yet today.
I think you can trace that all the way back to the effort in the back pocket from India Barker as well, not to let the football get out into the spaces where the Bombers had the numbers. There's all sorts of confusion here for the Bombers. They've been warned for the 5-6-5. Ruby Marnie is the guilty party. She doesn't really know where to go. That's football's walk of shame right there. You don't know if you want to come to the bench or where you're going. She takes up her place in the back line. Essendon bring it out of the middle. Drew Ryan left it behind. Seagulls mounting a charge. Tyrrell turns and delivers to half forward. Gray's out there in front of Davidge. Davidge couldn't stick the tackle. Gray breaks clear. Long ball into the 50. The pack underneath waits for it. Strafford's lurking. Thornycroft there front and centre. Is dispossessed. Bombers defenders rush on in. And a ball up just inside 50 for the Seagulls.
It's such a different game when Williamstown have stronger presence at the contest. Just simply by being able to get the ball into their front half, they look so much more dangerous.
Here's Strafford again, bursting away. Got away from Adams. Well, I reckon she got put to ball in time, did she? It doesn't really matter. She kicked it out of bounds on the full. And the Bombers, well, they survive a little fight back there from the Seagulls. Williamstown have worked their way. Here with you on afl.com.au, on the AFL Live official app as well. As we're underway in the middle, Eves raced out after it. Beaten by the bounce. Chaston, the Bomber captain, on the bottom of the pack there. What are the instructions from the Williamstown girls, do you think, Jem, in this last quarter from Liam Kavanagh?
I'm just watching Shani Whiting on the bench, who just got her knee taped and is having some run-throughs. Really interesting because Mia Bush had both of her quads taped up at three-quarter time as well, which obviously been fantastic. But she was sent on and told by Coach Sheree O'Neill, sit at the front of number 25 for Williamstown, which is Whiting, and just mop up everything in front of her. But Whiting's not even on the field, so Mia Bush has just gotten amongst it in the back line. But if you're Williamstown, you just tell them to take it on, because when they have taken it on and been strong at the contest, they've been very, very good. They just haven't done it for long enough periods of time.
Terrific grab taken by Lily Rose Williamson. The kick from Chaston asked a little bit of her. Beautiful kick out to half forward to Wales. Has the overlap run here in Karis Bretts. Oh, the handball never arrived. Now Bain for Williamstown. Couldn't take possession. Karis Bretts, Wales, Melnikas. Umpire spotted something here, didn't want to pay the advantage. It's coming back, a free kick going the Bombers' way.
Whiting's still walking a bit lamely, but she's lined up to come back on the field, so I imagine it'll be a stay at home, take a mark and kick a goal forward. She won't be doing a lot of running this quarter, but that's where potentially Bush can get the most of it at ground level, because we know how clean she is on the deck. So that's one to watch as the quarter unfolds.
Melnikas looking to land a blow here against their former side. 12 disposals, has kicked one goal, one. Run straight past the player on the mark. That was clever from Ash, has given it every chance. It's gone through the fingertips of Russell and through for a minor score. Another one for the Bombers. On comes Shani Whiting.
On comes Shani Whiting, and Mia Bush has changed opponents to go straight to her.
Watch for that battle in the final term.
The Bombers know they just need to stop Shani Whiting if they're going to slow down any scoring from Williamstown.
Well, Julian from the kick-in was bumped after she kicked it, so they're going to get good territory here from the free kick, Williamstown. It's in the hands here of Brittany Gray. Round the back goes Erin Mead. Pumps Williamstown down towards half forward. It's through the hands of Van Loon. She gets out after it. Simpson right there with her. Williamstown with numbers to the coalface. Eves gives it to Whiting. The umpire said, forget that all happened. It's out of bounds. We'll throw it in.
It is such a fascinating matchup between those two, purely because of just how much strapping is on their legs as well. Mia Bush, it looks like she's wearing skins. She's got so much strapping on her quads. But she seems to be moving okay.
Wales has been dealt with in the ruck, and she'll get a free kick. Well, it's been a taxing game. It's been quite physical, and as we mentioned earlier, Jem, very warm.
It's too warm, I have decided.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Ball up for grabs on the outer wing. Hoping for a hot finish to this game as they all pile in, and a ball up. Centre wing out of side. Bombers desperate to try and get on the winners list. They would have come into today as underdogs, slight underdogs, but underdogs all the same. Williamstown looking to make it 2 wins out of the gate. Umpire says holding the ball. A free kick will go the way here of the blue and gold.
I like this increased aggression around the contest because the Seagulls know that's where the game's going to be won and lost. So they're going all in around the contest, and it's created this.
Thornycroft goes long into the 50. Simpson played for the push, didn't get it. Ford gave it straight to Whiting, who sees an open goal square and didn't get the kind bounce that she needed. Whiting out there with that heavily strapped knee across the face. The non-negotiable is they have to take their chances in this quarter, Williamstown, and they don't take the first one.
And the important part here now is trap it in. Don't let Essendon go end-to-end like we saw them do last quarter.
Kick plays the outer side. Closing quickly was Tyrrell. Did really well to close down and get it away from Mia Bush, and they're the exact type of acts that you're looking for, Jem, to keep it in the front half.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's exactly what Essendon have done so well across the first 3 quarters, so it's turning the tables on them.
Bain and Wales to contest this next ruck contest at half forward for Williamstown. Kicked the last 3 goals of the game after Essendon kicked the first 4. If you weren't with us for the early stages, Roy's kick come a bit unstuck. Williamson, handball inboard. Freeman tumbles one into the 50. Madison Ford won't quite get there on the bounce. Then work the handball to Chaston, who breaks through half-back for Essendon. Brilliant kick to the outer side from the captain and hits up their teammate out there, I should say, in Orrit. Just backward of the wing on the outer side. Plays the short game, goes looking for Chaston again, who did some hard running to get there. Backed up with a tackle on Stepnell. Little kick forward to that contest in Bush and Whiting. Bush got the better of her on that occasion. Kicks into the middle. Melnikas a couple of little toe pokes to her own advantage, and then a good tackle in the middle, but Barker got the handball clear. The Dons have the numbers. Swooping onto it is Marnie. Kicks to a 2-on-2 up ahead at centre half forward. It's gathered by Richardson. Essendon going for the knockout blow. Kick comes down towards Russell. Well done there by Day to bring it to ground, but the job's only half done. Somehow got rid of it. Barker pounces onto the loose football. Kick will clear the back 50. It went through the hands of Ryan. Racing onto it, Gaylor, or rather that was Sarah Ford. Copped some late contact. Barker's got to go again. Left foot kick was under serious pressure. Thornycroft goes over the top of the loose ball and she'll be knocked off if that doesn't come out. Oh, she's very lucky. Umpire calls for a ball up.
I think that there's a real clear difference in the way the Bombers are playing. They're always involved in the contest. They never give up on it. Whereas we're seeing a little bit of that from the Seagulls. If they run over a ball, they consider themselves out of the contest. Whereas the Bombers, they're still a part of it, whether they can block for a teammate or whatever that is. And it's making them really hard to stop at the moment.
Marnie to Robinson. Van Loon's handball indiscriminate and bursting through is Simpson. Kicks to the one-on-one at half forward. Well done there by Murdoch to get the spoil in. Got an okay shepherd as well from her teammate in Bush, who just hacked it forward and it flooded onto the chest of Drew Ryan, who's happy to go back and take her allotted time. Pulls the kick out wide. Manfrey's got to get out after it. In the end, she decided to play the role of defender, even though she had front position, knocked it out of play. Of course, the Bombers will use the clock to their own benefit in this quarter. We have no time on in the Rebel VFLW outside of serious injury or a blood rule. So with all of these stoppages, the time just continues to tick away, and that's to the Bombers' benefit. Still 11 points the margin, 33 plays, 22. It's in neutral territory here. Chaston and Tweddle O'Donnell and Brett, who put the handball out in front of the former Magpie, and Tweddle O'Donnell, who kicked the last goal. Did really well to back up and get it to Edwards, who didn't really look up ahead. If she did, she would have seen Bush. Had to play on because the kick was touched. Tweddle O'Donnell stands her ground, flicked out a nice handball. Williamson comes right across the front of the half-forward line, and the mark's taken by Tyrrell, who will go in the direction of Whiting. Whiting will take the mark. Bush just lost her bearings with the high ball coming in, and Shani will go back for goal number 3 on one leg.
I was about to say, Williamstown has lost method in the way they're going forward. They're just bombing it in, hoping that it creates something. And right as I was going to say that, They opted to go across the field before going inside, opened up the angle, created something different for Whiting to take that mark. Those are the things that are going to win you a game.
Got to take their chances, Williamstown. Got to make every last one of them count. Shani Whiting's kick 2. Shani Whiting's kick 3. Here come the goals. 4 in a row for Williamstown after the Bombers kicked the first 4. And the margin is trimmed to 5 points.
And that is exactly why Cherie O'Neill has sent a player to Whiting. We know Whiting is dangerous in the air, but on the deck maybe lacks a little bit. So trying to force her to be accountable, it made Williamstown think differently about the way they approach the ball into Whiting. Because we know that if they're going to win, a lot of it's going to have to come off her boot in attack. She's the main target. Even though Molly Simpson kicked 4 last week, it forced Williamstown to play differently. And that's what we have to see from Williamstown if they're going to kick the next one to get in front.
It's as close as they've been since the 7.5-minute mark of the first quarter when the Bombers led by 6. Underway in the middle again. Bombers looking to make a clean break here. Drew Ryan's kick smothered. Russell gets back out after it. Williamstown lifting their pressure at the coalface. Williamson jumps on in. Umpire has seen enough, calls for a ball up. The Bombers only lost once last season when leading at three-quarter time. Guess who the opposition was?
I'm going to say it was Williamstown.
It was Williamstown indeed. Free kick on the outer side to the Seagulls. Going the way of Williamson. The Bombers only led by 5 points that day. Kick into the middle, went over the head of Freeman and Jordan. Karis Brett is there, looking around for options, finds the captain in Chaston. Back to Karis Brett, throws it on the boot and just gets it going to half forward. Here's an interesting one-on-one, Jordan and Stepnell. Stepnell will get there first, try to paddle it to her own advantage, eventually gains control, needs some support. Hamble went looking for Freeman, who lost her footing. Climbing in over the top there was Oritz. We may well have a ball up, we do. It was Eliza Strafford, or rather India Barker, underneath all that for Williamstown.
It's good stuff from Ava Jordan to just force enough pressure to create that stoppage when she was in and out, undersized in that contest, allowed teammates to come in.
Russell knocked it straight to her opposing ruck in Crowley, who bundles a kick up the line. Good work there from Randall. Had to beat a couple, applied a really solid tackle, and now they fight for it underneath, and the umpire says stop fighting, ball up.
Bombers wanted a free kick for a dangerous tackle there, wasn't coming.
Williamson getting busy for Williamstown. Works the kick down towards half forward. It might sit here for Gray. Essendon player overcommitted. Gray's onto the loose football. Shrugs the tackle and then blazed away from 30 metres out, and it was lucky to be a behind. Margin back to 4.
I was saying earlier that composure's everything, wasn't I? That is another example where some composure would have come in handy.
She could have actually ran in a lot further there. She ended up having a ping from 25. She almost could have ran to the top of the goal square.
May have been fear of taking a bounce as well.
Yes,
Saw Steph Williams struggle with the bounce yesterday.
Edwards, a good kick down towards Whiting. Trying to find an opening. Back to Maddie Edwards. Works a kick back to the hot spot. It bounces in the middle of 4 Seagulls. Eves collects. Fights off one. Round the body. Williamstown hit the front. Brilliant work from last year's best and fairest winner. And the Seagulls have kicked 5 in a row. And the Bombers now go back to the middle, wondering where on earth has that lead gone.
They're coming home with a wet sail, Williamstown. They just took a bit of time to work into the game. They always knew that if they created enough opportunities forward, they would be able to score. In the first half, they just couldn't get into their front half at all. But now that they are regularly doing that, they're unsettling that Bombers defence. The Bombers defence isn't able to set up. Even now for the 5-6-5 setup, the Bombers are a little bit scrambly in the back line as to who's my direct opponent, what does it look like. So good stuff from Williamstown. I think they just need to keep the foot on the pedal though, because we know the Bombers still have genuine danger in attack.
13 minutes gone in the final quarter. Williamstown lead by 2 points. It's their first lead of the day. Karis Brett brings the Bombers to half forward. Freeman in front, knocked it away. Jordan the first one to react. A handball missed Marnie. Marnie went back and got it. Kicks in the direction of Jada Richardson in front. What a mark! Outstanding from Jada. She's had a couple of looks already today and she'll back herself in from right in front.
Steph Wales getting to the line to be the presence. Should it drop short as well? But I reckon she's got this distance in her.
This would really hurt. Williamstown finally get their noses in front and then the Bombers go right up the other end and reclaim the lead. Jada Richardson, once again. Angle of no concern. Gemma Bastiani says she'll have the distance. It's just going to drop short. Big pack flies for it. Jordan buzzing around. Might have been taken without it. Umpire kept the whistle out of the mouth and we get a stoppage at the top of the goal square.
She just got under that set shot kick. It went sky high rather than hitting the distance that she wanted.
Wales in the ruck. Knocks it down, put it into a good spot. Williamstown got there first. Williamson for the Bombers was in amongst it. We've barely moved. We'll do it again at the top of the goal square. 14 minutes gone in the final quarter. Williamstown cling desperately to a 2-point lead. Wales and Crowley. Wales knocks it down to Julian. Oh, the kick came off the outside of the boot. What does Whiting do here? She takes it over the line for a minor score. That's brave. It's a 1-point ball game. Did you say we might have some issues if it was a close finish, Gemma, after what happened on half-time?
I only said that when I thought there may have been an error in the scoring. There was not an error in the scoring. It's genuine. Whatever happens here, we're fine.
No controversy at all.
No.
Stepnell drives one down the line. It clears the pack. Can Ryan keep it in? No. And the ball in. Essendon 4-10-34. Trail Williamstown 5-5-35.
Williamstown seem to be in save game mode now already. It's a 1-point margin, and they've got 2 spares in defence. Shani Whiting is just sitting as the deepest defender.
Away we go again from the ball in. Thornycroft was buried headfirst into the turf. Umpire didn't think that was untoward. Players going down like 9 pins there. We'll get another stoppage. Who's going to lift here for the Bombers and try and drag this one out of the fire? They've led essentially all day. Malnikas tumbles it into the 50. Richardson again. Did the early body work and then took the mark. Spots something she likes inboard, looking for and finding Wales. And Steph goes back off the mark and says, calm down, I've got it.
Steph knows how to kick a goal. But Jada Richardson's body work has been outstanding when she's caught in the one-on-one in attack.
Wales can either put the Bombers in front or tie the game if she's got the distance here. 2-time NAB Rising Star nominee at AFLW level. Wales on the approach. Again got underneath the kick. Manfrey in the middle of the pack. The big flyer come from the back. Mead got it by hand. Her kick's just going to drop short there of Terrell. Wales back with the football. Gang tackled. Pack forms quickly. Umpire has a look. Umpire has a look and calls holding the ball. And it's going the Bombers' way.
Well, it looked like Williamstown was out of danger there, but then the Bombers just descended. But interesting, as Wales was lining up for her set shot kick, we could hear screams from the Bombers bench telling Crystal Russell, get into the goal square, be the tall presence if it drops short.
So now the ball is in the hands of the former Williamstown player, Ash Malnikas. Kicked the first goal of the afternoon. Would love to put her new side back in front here. She joined the Bombers in the off-season from North Melbourne. Angle tight. Moment pressurised. It's going to go right to the line and carry. And scores are level at the Hangar. Essendon 4-11-35. Williamstown 5-5-35. We've gone 17 and a half minutes in the final quarter.
Whiting here taking the kick in. They just want it long and out of danger, Williamstown.
Remember, the Bombers played in 2 draws last season at this level. Whiting had a bounce and then cleared the 50. The kick was a beauty. Strafford wants to play on and couldn't break clear. Handball to Simpson, a ripping tackle over there. I think it might have been Van Loon. Holds the Seagulls up. We get a stoppage, neutral territory, far side.
Very well done by the Bombers. They knew they'd want to play quickly and get the run and carry going and just stop that.
Away we go again. Bain outpointed Wales in the ruck. Jagging a kick forward there for Williamstown was Williams, but it's taken by Gaylor, who's gone quiet in the second half. Off to Van Loon. Long and direct is the order of play. Awkward bouncing ball. Trying to come through there, Melnikas, but lost out to Julian. Turns onto the boot. Williamstown go to half forward. Van Loon's there again. Handball to her teammate in forward, who danced around a couple and then lowered the eyes. It's a good kick. Melnikas marks right in the middle of the ground. Open forward 50. The kick won't quite get that far. Freeman takes a beautiful mark in front of Manfrey. How do Williamstown play this now? They scream for Elle Freeman to bring it to the broadcast side. She does. In front, Crowley the spoil. Roved by Chaston. That is an outstanding kick around the body. Dropping the mark was Williams for the Bombers. Kick around the body down towards half forward. Whiting behind the play. Shoulder to shoulder with Richardson, who now goes to battle with Thornycroft. Umpire, quick whistle. Ball up. Bombers just inside 50.
How long left?
We're inside the final minute of the game. You'd reckon only the Bombers could win it from here, barring a slingshot of epic proportions. Bain and Wales again. Can the Bombers work some magic from the stoppage? Melnikas dived on the loose football. She attracted a crowd. We'll do it again.
Can hear the fans yelling that there's only seconds left.
Another forward 50 stoppage. Williamstown got to be careful not to give away a free kick. Chaston, a clever handball. It eluded Bush on the bounce. Julian dropped it. They cry for holding the ball. Not forthcoming. Another stoppage. And it's a draw. The first draw of season 2024 in the Rebel VFL Women's. Essendon 4.